Okay, we are finally going to see how we can populate our terrain. I started with a flat plane and well, in order to deploy some objects on this terrain, all I need to do is browse in my libraries and choose the prop that I like. In this case I'm choosing my coconut tree from Ultimo Paradiso, which will also be available in my first Infinito expansion pack. And all I need to do is to double click this item, and you will notice that we get this little tiny icon in the preview canvas, which just warns us that we just selected a prop and it's available to be deployed on the terrain. All we need to do to place this coconut tree on the terrain is just point and click, and point and click again. Alright, each time that I deploy a new object, the status bar is telling me that well, I just placed a new item, so this is an item counter, and here on the right we also have the overall triangles count of our scene. Okay, so now I'm just going to put some coconut trees here on my terrain, and well, let's place also a baobab tree. Just double click and I place one of those here in the center. Okay, so we have 14 items and a total of more than 900,000 triangles. Okay, so this was the most simple example that I could make, and I'm going to delete all these objects, just clicking on this button here, delete all items, and yes, so that I cleared my scene. And I'm going to show you some options that you have available in paint mode. So let's select my coconut tree again as my active prop, and right now I have set a distance of 100 centimeters. So this means that when I paint my coconut trees around, the minimum distance from one coconut tree and the others must be at least 100 centimeters, which means it's 1 meter. So if one coconut tree is that I want to deploy is below that meter, it won't be placed. So this is more easy to understand if I set, for example, 10 meters. Okay, and well, I'm now going to place my first coconut tree, and if I click just here nearby, you see that I'm not allowed to place a new one. I have to get distant at least 10 meters from this, so should be here. Okay, and so you see, can't do, and here I can't do, and here yes. And this is very useful when you want to brush objects around. Let me put again a distance of only 1 meter, so that's 100 centimeters. If I hold my left mouse button and move it around, I will actually brush my objects. So remember, if I click, I just put one instance at a time. If I keep my left mouse button clicked and move it around, I'm going to deploy. Actually, I'm going to paint my objects around. and in a matter of seconds you have a full ecosystem. As you can see, I just deployed 120 coconut trees for a total triangles count of almost 4 millions. And these coconut trees were all respecting the minimum distance of 1 meter. So again, let me set a higher distance. Let's say again, let's do 15 meters. So it's 15 by 100. Remember that this is in centimeters. I'm going to double click and have my coconut tree as the current prop again. And so when I'm going to click and paint, you see that Infinito is going to discard each click below 15 meters. So whether I'm going to click and click around, sorry, to move my mouse around while my left mouse button is clicked, I am not allowed to place any coconut tree below a 15 meters distance from each other. And so this is a nice way to plan your scene carefully so that you can precisely decide how much distance you need to take, you want to take from one item and another. Okay, I cleared the scene and I'm now going to show you how to deploy a full ecosystem in a click. The first thing I need to set is the area which will be filled from our props. Right now I have, as you recall, a terrain of 100 meters by side, and actually now I'm going to raise the area which will be affected from my ecosystem deployment. As you can see, I raised the diameter almost to the maximum, which well, now is 87 meters. So this means that I will be covering almost all the terrain area. And of course, if I choose a lower value, I will be affecting a smaller area. So this means that my objects will be deployed within the area highlighted from this green semi-transparent sphere. Okay, so now I'm going to choose again a higher value. Let's say, okay, 81. Then I'm going to tell Infinito that I want, for example, to deploy 32 instances, and each object must be, say, at 5 meters, at least 5 meters from each other. Oh well, then I have to select which object I want to deploy. So I say again the coconut tree. Not going to touch any of the other options. We will do this later. And so I'm now going to click somewhere on the terrain, and well, as you can see, as confirmed from the status bar, I have now deployed 32 coconut trees. And of course the deployment is random. And let's do this again. I'm clicking here and okay, now the count is up to 64. And each of these coconut trees, as I said, are distant from each other at least 5 meters. So as you can see, we just deployed a full coconut tree ecosystem in only 2 clicks. And right now we have a flat terrain, but you can be assured that the same would work successfully also if you had another kind of terrain. I cleared the scene again, and I'm now going to show you how we can diversify the properties of our items and objects while they are being placed on our terrain. I have still the coconut tree as the active prop, and let me choose a randomization angle. I will choose a 180 degrees angle, which this means that my object, each time that I will click on the terrain, and Infinito will deploy a coconut tree which whose angles will be randomized between 180 and minus 180. And by the way, I want this randomization to take place only on the y-axis. This means because I don't want at this time to have the coconut tree roll or pitch. I just want to rotate on the vertical axis. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to make my terrain a little bit distant, but maybe it's better if I choose a different prop. Maybe a cube would work better, and it will be easier to see how the properties work. So I chosen the cube prop, and let's see how this rotation works. Well, as you can see, as I deploy my cubes on the terrain, they have all been rotated randomly on a range between a range of minus and plus 180. If I choose a much lower angle, let's say 15, you see that the rotations are, of course, more subtle. Alright, so let's clear the scene. Let's choose the cube again, and well, let's erase the angle randomization, and let's do the same with the scale. Let's say I want to scale my objects between minus and plus 40%, and well, let's start. I think this needs no explanation. And we have another spin box here that will force an initial scale for the selected prop. So this is useful because maybe sometimes you have a prop that you want to have a larger size. So let's say you want your cubes to start 4 times larger than what they are, and still applying a 40% of randomization scale. And so now, well, that's huge, but you get the point. Okay, I delete all these objects, and I'm going to show you what would have happened if I didn't force the angle randomization only on the y-axis. Oops, I still have the 400 initial scale on, so I'm going to set it back to 100, delete everything, and select the cube again and start. You see that now the angle randomization is not applied only on one axis, but is actually applied on all the 3 axes. I imagine how this would work if you had, for example, rocks instead of cubes. Then you get a nice layer of rocks, sparse rocks around, and well, this is how it works. And well, as you see, I mixed the angle randomization with a 40% scale randomization as well. And this is because, of course, Infinito allows to do that. It allows to deploy several items with randomization applied on both angles and scale as well. And if I delete everything and I select my cube again, remember that this works also if you deploy a full ecosystem. Alright, so in a click I just deployed 64 cubes, each one distant 5 meters from each other, with a randomization of 180 degrees and a scale of 40% randomization. And this is the result. Okay, going to clear my scene again, and let's erase any randomization. And now I'm going to show you another nice method that you can use, another nice option that we have available, and it's the possibility to stack items over each other. By default, Infinito won't allow to place an object on top of each other. You see that they are all deployed over the terrain. But we can change this behavior. We just need to enable this option here, which allows to stack items over each other. And now, if I click here, alright, you see, I just deployed another cube on top of each other, and here and here. Alright, so now we have a pile of 5 cubes, 6 now. And obviously I can select another prop, and you know what, I'm going to place the coconut tree just here. Alright, and you do understand that this means you will be able to create virtually any kind of combination. You can, for example, build a stack of rocks, or whatever else your fantasy tells.